Live here on a Friday. It has been one hell of a week, Sam. I'll tell you that. From the Titans' perspective, the ups and downs. You and Austin earlier in the week talked about Jon Robinson's firing. Then Austin and I kind of diagnosed what was going on, what happened yesterday. And now you and I get an opportunity to kind of look towards a little bit of the future and, the Jags game. The Titans just got, their ass kicked, to be honest, by the Philadelphia Eagles. They got to have a bounce back game, right? And a bounce back of what is next. We're going to have a great show today here live on A to Z Sports. We're going to be talking about, will the firing of Jon Robinson have a positive or negative impact for the rest of the season? That's, I think, a huge question, because things like this, I think, can change your season in a positive or a negative way. Now, they've got the Jags on the horizon, and we're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence, or maybe lack thereof, as he's been on the injury report with a big toe. That balancing big toe act, we're going to figure out if he's going to be good to go on Sunday as we get closer to kickoff. But I think that's a huge question. They finally, they host the Jags. They have not played the Jags all year. They've got 2 more games left to go with Jacksonville. And if they can, face the Jaguars without Trevor Lawrence, that could be a huge advantage, as you've seen Trevor Lawrence play good and bad at times this year for Jacksonville. So some ups and downs down there in Duval County. And then ain't that good news on a Friday. So we got a lot to get into. Sam, why don't you tell the fine folks at home what they need to do before we officially get started?
Yeah, Zach, you mentioned it. I mean, what a week off the bat. Just a lot of chaos, a lot of content. Austin and I were here on Tuesday, and we were like getting ready to go to lunch, have a nice relaxing Tuesday with nothing at the Titans facility. And then boom, everything kind of has been full speed ahead from there. But before we get going into all that stuff you mentioned, if you're watching today, make sure you share the show. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and hit the share button. That is there for a reason, so that you can spread it to your entire network, get Titans fans in your life involved. Go ahead and use the YouTube link, send it to a friend, retweet us at A to Z Sports. However it is you watch us, make sure you're helping somebody else watch us, because that is the best way to support the show and the best way to have the best conversation. More people, the better, on this Good News Friday, Zach.
Yes, Good News Friday. Let's officially get this party started. Welcome into A to Z Sports. I'm Zach Bingham. He is our Titans reporter, Sam Phelan, and we are A to Z Sports. Got to thank our sponsors, including our title sponsor, BetMGM. You can see that right in the middle of us every single day, right down there. Promo code ATOZ Sports. BetMGM. Download the app today. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 with that promo code. Our presenting sponsors. We love our presenting sponsors, and they include Hughes & Coleman, the official injury lawyer of the Tennessee Titans. They are also the official injury lawyer of A to Z Sports Morning. So we love Hughes & Coleman, and we also love the Bone and Joint Institute down there in Franklin. They've got a brand new state-of-the-art facility. I mean, it's been there for a couple of years, but that thing is brand new when you walk into it. It is a state-of-the-art facility. So if you have trouble with your if it's a knee, it's a hip, it's a shoulder, the Bone and Joint Institute has you covered in Middle Tennessee. Also, Farm Bureau Health Plans all across the state of Tennessee, 200 plus locations, fbhp.com/A to Z, and Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Your perfect make and model is right there at Wilson County Hyundai. All right, Sam. Whoa, a little deep breath, right? So I didn't have an opportunity to talk to you on this show. Now I do on a Friday. Sam, I mean, you had to have been shell-shocked when you heard about Jon Robinson. This is your first year covering the Tennessee Titans. A lot has happened just through the course of, in a short stint. This had to have been blindsided. I mean, you had to have been blindsided by this, like I think everybody else, right?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Austin and I, it was very funny, Zach. Austin and I sat here on Monday morning and hosted our Eagles reaction and had our whole show. And Austin's main point of the whole show was change is not coming. Jon Robinson's not going anywhere anytime soon. That was the main point of the show. And then we get here Tuesday. We break down some of the just on-field issues and had told everybody, look, tomorrow on Wednesday morning, we will be back to discuss the looming roster construction issue and criticize the position Jon Robinson has put the Titans in. That was what we had planned for Wednesday. And then literally on my way to lunch with Austin, he calls me, he says, "Hey, are you almost here?" I said, "No, I'm like a couple minutes from home. I just left." He goes, "Turn around. Jon Robinson just got fired." And I said, "What?" And we kind of just sat there in silence for a little bit, being like, "Huh?" And it's not shocking when you consider the issues with the roster, but it didn't feel like this was imminent or coming soon. Yeah, so it was a bit of a shock, a big shock for Titans fans, and a big shock, I can tell you for sure, after talking to them in the locker room, Zach, from Titans players. Like, they were a little bit rattled by this as well. I'm not sure this is something they saw coming at all.
No, and well, let's hear from the quarterback, one of the leaders of the team, and Ryan Tannehill. He spoke to the media yesterday. This video courtesy of the Titans. Ryan Tannehill on Jon Robinson being fired from the franchise.
How tough is it when a move like this happens in the midst it's December and you're in the midst of a game week? How easy is it maybe to flip the switch and suddenly focus on the professional side and getting ready for Sunday?
Yeah, it definitely adds another layer to the week. But as professionals, we have to be able to get past it. We face all types of adversity throughout the season and different distractions that come up, through different reasons. And as professionals, it's our job to be able to, put that stuff aside and focus on the task at hand and being able to prepare and go out and play a great game on Sunday.
You say you want to put that aside and focus on the task at hand, but how much does a move like that kind of like send a message to you guys in the locker room, like, hey, you know what, got to get better and got to do better?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's it's professional football, right? So, we see it every week through guys coming in the building and then out of the building. It's so different. It affects their lives just like it affects a coach or a GM or anything else. So it's definitely a business, and we're reminded of that each and every week. This week just a different person than we were expecting.
Well, Ryan Tannehill been in this league since 2012. He's seen a lot of football. He's played for multiple teams. He's quarterbacked multiple teams. He's talked to a lot of general managers before. It's not one of those things where I am surprised at how Ryan Tannehill handled those questions, because he is a professional. He's seen a lot of these things. I definitely think he was shocked, because who traded for Ryan Tannehill when he was in Miami, in kind of the middle of nowhere Miami, where he was injured, he had torn ACL, he couldn't get back to the starting position? And what happened? Who traded for him, Sam?
Jon Robinson.
Right? He's the guy who brought him to Tennessee and kind of resurrected his career as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, Tannehill has done a good job in running with that opportunity, leading the Titans to an AFC Championship appearance, then back-to-back divisional titles. Now they ended in losses at home, which he's trying to kind of rectify this season. But I think he handled himself well and in a professional manner. But, Sam, my gut tells me this offseason got a little different for Ryan Tannehill compared to Monday to where we are now, because it tells me that Amy Adams-Strunk is done with this BS. She's tired of the ceiling being a little bit lower than it should.
No, yeah. I mean, I think that's where any player's mind has to go. And I think that is the difference. You and I talked a little bit right before we started about how Ryan Tannehill makes a really interesting point that I didn't even really think of, where he says, yeah, I'm kind of used to it. Like, we see guys coming in and out every day, and there is a lot of facts there too. Like, what you don't see, obviously Jon Robinson gets fired. It's a huge headline, but the guy off the practice squad that gets released might have personal relationships within that locker room as well and mean something to somebody. But that's a nature of the business that you have to be prepared to look past and stay focused through. I think where this one is different is Jon Robinson affects the player's future. Like, when another player gets moved on from, gets cut, it doesn't affect you. Your job is to play football, work hard, do your job, get your next contract, win games, all of that stuff. The general manager that brought you in, invested in you, gave you that contract extension and the restructure, him being gone, that does make you look in the mirror and say, well, what does this mean for me? Is the new guy going to like me? Is the new guy not going to like me? Am I playing for my job here the last few weeks? There is an element to that, which I think could affect a guy like Ryan Tannehill for sure.
Yeah, you bring up, impacting these players. I mean, that's who signed these players, like the coaching staff is obviously, it sounds like it's going to remain at least for the somewhat foreseeable future, right? We never know what's going to happen. But, Mike Vrabel, he said he was informed of this decision. And then obviously Mike Vrabel or Amy Adams-Strunk, probably Mike Vrabel, informed the team of this decision. But you're sitting here in kind of the midst of a season that you have done well at times and then recently have not done as well after getting blown out and embarrassed in Philly. You've lost 2 straight, one to an opponent in the Cincinnati Bengals, which, you had a good opportunity going into the second half to win, right? I mean, and that game, if you win your division, that game could be very impactful because, as we've said, you've lost 3 tie breaks now in the AFC. You are going to have to go on the road when it comes to trying to get to a Super Bowl. You lost to the Bills, got blown out on Monday night. You lost in a close game with Malik Willis to the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now that the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson is injured, I think that they're going to fall back a little bit, right? You're sitting there and you're saying the Titans don't have a tie break with anybody else. They're going to be probably the 4 seed, which means they're going to have to play a better opponent in the wild card, right? Just how it's structured. Yeah. And then after that, their seeding is not going to help them. I think that's a long, tall look in the mirror. And then Jon Robinson, he gets fired this week. And I think you guys talked about it earlier this week, which was they fired him right now for a reason because of the start of the scouting year, right?
Yeah.
And what the general manager's responsibility. It's kind of weird of when that starts, but it does them no good to hold on to a guy that they were going to get rid of, it sounds like, anyway,
No. Mike Vrabel said, for the most part, and you don't want to say things are going to be inconsequential, but Mike Vrabel did say, look, it's December. Really, any player personnel decisions that myself and Ryan Cowden are going to come across while we're trying to manage this roster for the rest of the season are going to be pretty minor. I mean, it's managing IR, maybe a back end of the roster signing. We did see them go out and grab Terrell Basham very shortly after the news broke. The GM role is pretty limited outside of the scouting and the college player meetings at this point in time. So it makes sense for them to do it now. You let Vrabel and Ryan Cowden handle player personnel decisions. You get a jump start on the search. And yeah, there's no point in having Robinson be in these meetings if he's not going to be here, which, Zach, I think begs the question, how long has Amy Adams-Strunk been frustrated? How long has this been looming? And it was a question I think I asked it to Mike Vrabel. Unfortunately, I had to ask it to Mike Vrabel and not Amy Adams-Strunk because she didn't show up for the press conference to field questions about her decision. And Mike Vrabel wasn't really able to give me an answer because it's not his decision, not his feelings. But yeah, it does beg the question, is this a last few weeks, look in the mirror, realize where you at, realize what you have to do? Is this stemming from the offseason and from the A.J. Brown trade and starting to feel some frustrations towards, I don't think this team is better this year than it was last year, and my goal is to go upwards, and this was just the confirmation you needed? All very interesting questions to the thought process of this ownership group that we don't have until we hear from the owner, which I think is frustrating a lot of fans.
I don't think you're going to hear from the owner, Sam. The owner had an opportunity to step up to the plate. The owner didn't speak, and we talked about that yesterday. I thought that was strategy. She didn't want to get in the line of fire because if she changes and the team improves, you don't care, right?
Yeah.
You don't care that she actually spoke or not. If the team now, and this is a huge crossroads for the actual franchise as a whole, not just last game, is which way are you going to go? So we're going to talk about that. But you were in the locker room this week and yesterday. Kevin Byard actually spoke on this as well.
Yeah, Kevin Byard, one of the more just very genuine, nuanced responses to this that you can find. Generally the case with Kevin Byard. He's very eloquent when he speaks to the media. But he actually spoke about, you mentioned, was it likely Vrabel who broke the news to the team? Yes, but keep in mind, this was on a Tuesday. Most guys weren't in the facility. Kevin Byard told media he actually found out about it the same way we did, through Twitter, and then had the fallout of Vrabel speaking to the team and the message. But we are going to talk about, as you mentioned, like where they go from here. Byard had a great response to how the Titans can respond to the Jon Robinson news, despite a lot of emotional attachments to their former GM.
Mike said that he conveyed a message from Jon to you guys. What was that?
I mean, pretty much what I said. Just make sure that, don't let this be a distraction. Try to go out there and go win a football game. I shot Jon a text yesterday when I found out about everything. But, yeah, he just wanted us to make sure that, as me personally, just continue to lead. And like I said, don't let the news, become a distraction.
A move of that magnitude, what type of message does that send to you guys in the locker room? Because you know how sometimes, you change a quarterback, you get that spark.
Nah, exactly.
This is a GM,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, nothing's really changed. I mean, as of right now, I can't say or not, but, I mean, I'm still going to have the same guys out there on defense. Obviously, have some injuries and stuff like that. But, like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, these decisions, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see the guy who drafted me get fired or whatever, but it is what it is. We got to respect that decision. So, like I said, I'm just trying to make sure I'm doing the best I can as a leader to just not let it be a distraction. Like, when we get to talking about this conversation, that conversation, like, hey, we got the Jaguars this week. Bottom line, we got to find a way to get to 8-5.
There's KB being KB, right? The leader of the football team, the face of the franchise for some time on that defense. Let's ask this question. Let's get the chat involved. Will the firing of Jon Robinson have a positive or negative impact on the Titans season? That's the Titans season. We're not talking about just this week against the Jaguars. So that is the question we're going to ask. I'm going to pin that in the comments. We want positive or negative. We're going to read your comments. But first, Sam, I got to tell the fine folks about one of our great sponsors, which is Farm Bureau Health Plans. Look, they're a proud sponsor. You saw them early on sponsoring the broadcast of the preseason Titans game. You're going to see them every day here on A to Z Sports. I'm going to see them each and every month in my, honestly, in drawing money out. But that money that's being drawn out could have been a lot more if I stayed with my old plan. I saved 20%. It's a lot less now that I have Farm Bureau Health Plans. FBHP.com/A to Z, 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. 75 years. I mean, they are trusted and they have your perfect plan. Whether you're single, you're married, you have one kid, you have 12 kids. It doesn't matter. If you can field a football team, they can give you a health plan. They truly can. You got to get a quote, though. You have a health assessment that is very easy. Then you get a quote, and then you realize, man, I should have changed a long time ago. That's FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, and BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks for good reason. Right now, with the promo code ATOZ Sports on the BetMGM app, you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. Find your NFL pick for this week. Make sure you place it on BetMGM and you use that promo code ATOZ Sports. Really no reason not to do it when it's risk-free. That is the best way to get involved in sports betting. So BetMGM app, promo code ATOZ Sports.
All right, Sam, let's go to the comment section. The question that we asked as a whole, will the firing of Jon Robinson have a positive or negative effect on the Titans season? Eric says positive. Trammell says positive. We've got positive from Xavier. So Steven and Timothy and tighten up. We got a string of positives. We got a lot of glass half fullies in the chat. You can see him. James, Major Keys, Eric, will we find a negative? Give me a negative. No, not from James. He's going positive. Kane says positive. Nate Spurner says positive. Randy says positive. It could be a jump starter for the team. Stephen King gives us our first negative. They know they had a hand in him being fired. Ooh, from Stephen King. Sam, do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree with that. I mean, I think you have to agree with that. Maybe not the top end talent guys, but the general manager, his firing is a reflection of ownership satisfaction with the roster, with the players that are on the roster. So if you're a player on the roster that maybe hasn't had your best season, you have to take it as a reflection on your performance and having a hand in him losing his job.
Howling Wolf says positive. We've got Deborah positive. ABNTX says positive. Lou Man is going negative right there with a couple of emojis. Scott is honest. He says, I honestly do not know. Thomas says positive, could light a fire under the playoffs or light a fire on the players. And then John says both, but more positive than negative. Tons of comments coming in, which we appreciate. Luke says negative for the season only. Amy just showed she didn't believe in this roster. Luke, I think that's pretty profound. I do think that it shows that this roster of where they are, that Amy doesn't believe in it. Look, I haven't really believed in it all year. That's been one of the things that I've kind of stood tall on, saying that this talent is not good enough. In the playoffs, you have to have superstars make superstar type plays, and they don't have enough of that. Traylon Burks is a rookie. Austin Hooper is not worth the $42 million contract the Browns gave him. That's why he's on a one-year deal with the Titans. Chig is good. He's still a rookie. Robert Woods is still a number 2 wide receiver. That's all he is. It's all he's ever going to be. And at times, Robert Woods, I'd categorize him as not playing all that well consistently throughout the course of the season, right? For being traded for, which Jon Robinson did, traded for, Robert Woods, and then trading away A.J. Brown, not paying Jeffrey Simmons, all of those things. Harold Landry, and this is an unfortunate set of circumstances. The guy that Jon Robinson paid the most amount of money to in the offseason was unable to play a single snap this year. It's unfortunate. So like the guy that he said, here are the chips, take them. We didn't even actually get an opportunity to see the next level of Harold Landry to be a disruptor and try to go compete with the JJ Watt or the TJ Watts, not JJ anymore, but TJ Watts, the Joey Bosa's, the Nick Bosa's, the pass rushers that dominate this league. We didn't even get an opportunity to see that. Bud Dupree has been a shell of himself with his hip injury. He's a high motor guy. He's a quality player, but he hasn't been worth $80 million. So all of these things, I think, go to what Luke is saying is Amy showed that she doesn't have belief in the roster. Sam, that doesn't mean that the roster won't improve. It still doesn't mean that Traylon Burks can't make big plays for the rest of the season, or this can be a learning lesson after getting your butt whooped by Philadelphia. Sam, I have my answer, but I'm curious to hear yours. I will say mine, but Sam, will this be a positive or negative in your opinion moving forward for the Titans now that Jon Robinson is fired?
I think this is a positive for the Titans. You have to try and switch something, like, to be honest. And I think if I am a Titans player that does feel a little bit of I kind of had a hand in this, it does motivate you a little bit. And the main reason why I feel like this is a positive, Zach, is because of the message that Amy Adams Strunk sent with this move. And Austin and I have talked about it all week, but your owner sent a message to the organization, to the coaches, to the players, to the fans, to the NFL world, that the Tennessee Titans are not satisfied with mediocrity anymore. They're not satisfied with 10-7 and making the playoffs, or 9-8 and making the playoffs. They want to make Super Bowl runs and Super Bowl appearances. They have a big stadium, $2 billion stadium project coming in. They want to be a winner when they enter that stadium, and they want to start distinguishing themselves as one of the elite NFL franchises and brands. You do that by investing in Mike Vrabel. You do that by pushing your team and your roster forward. And you do that by investing in the city and in the stadium and in your fan base through what they're doing in the next couple of years. But through that message, if I'm a player, I know that I have to be great to win my job here. I know that I have to be better than what I have been, and I cannot be content or satisfied with being just okay or just mediocre and getting beat badly by every good team that you play. You have to find a little extra, and if this can light a fire under the ass of some of these players, I think it will be a big positive for them. And if it doesn't, then you're in the same spot. I don't see many scenarios where this can go negative, especially too. The other note I have written down, how you respond to these things is a reflection of leadership. And I do believe the Titans have good leadership. From Mike Vrabel to Ryan Tannehill to Kevin Byard, the vocal leaders of this team are strong leaders. And when you have guys like that in the locker room, I think it's easier to bounce back, look forward, and keep yourself motivated.
So I think you said something there that I agree with, in the sense of, is it going to matter, and what does it actually matter, right? So, like, let's look at the rest of the season. The winnable games are very winnable, right? I mean, you can beat the Jags, especially, and we'll talk about this here shortly, without Trevor Lawrence. The Chargers are not what we thought the Chargers were going to be before the start of the season. They're not very good. The Texans are one of the worst teams in the league. The Cowboys are good, so you may lose that game, but it's also at home in prime time, where the Titans sometimes play really good football. Sometimes they play really bad football. It just depends. And then you end the season at Jacksonville. I think it's logical to say that you win 4 out of the next 5 games. You could clinch your division even before that, not change your seeding because you've lost all 3 of the tie breaks, and not really even play against Jacksonville the second time. So then now, and this is how I'm leading you to the water that I'm trying to get everybody to drink, is it a negative or a positive? Now you're in a 1-game scenario, right? Now you're in a playoff game that you're hosting. You're going to play the team that you're going to play. And who's that going to be? We're going to find out. You hope it's not Buffalo if the Dolphins ruin that, but who knows? Could be the Miami Dolphins. Can the Titans win on any given Sunday? They've proven that they can. Do they do that consistently? Well, they've proven that no, they do not. Not against good football teams. So I think I'm not going to go baseline. It doesn't matter. I truly believe in my heart of hearts it doesn't matter. But I do think that it is more of a positive because of the situation that they're in. And also, here's why I think it sways slightly more positive to negative. The Titans do good with that underdog energy. And Mike Vrabel can use that to say, they don't obviously believe in you guys. They just fired the guy that picked you. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to say this. I'm not saying that I wouldn't say this behind closed doors. But before that playoff game, that's probably going to be on Saturday in the middle of the day at 3:30, when it's the first playoff game of the playoffs, right? Because they're not going to put the Titans anywhere else. This is kind of what I say. I sit there and I say, look, Amy fired the guy that handpicked you guys. I'm not saying go play it out in spite of Amy Adams Strunk, the owner, but let's go prove everybody wrong. And that's when the Titans play their best football. So I think that this is a positive because it does give a little bit of juice that now Vrabel can use to rally the team. And then the other thing is, Sam, it really doesn't matter what he says this year because next year is going to be completely different. Probably, the roster is going to change. So because there's a new general manager or a new person calling the shots. So that's, I think, my philosophy. So ultimately, I do agree with you. I agree with and I agree with the chat. This is more of a positive slightly than a negative.
Yeah, and I mean, there is an argument to be made for negative, especially the Todd Downing news from a couple weeks ago, now this feels like there's a lot kind of unraveling from the Titans, like the front office, the coaching staff, whatever around them that doesn't necessarily have to do with the football team on the field. And then you get the added pressure of kind of how things have gone on the football field and the embarrassing performance of Sunday that could start to really snowball momentum negatively. But like I said, I think leadership is strong enough to get them out of that rut and have them pointing forward. And I think a lot of the Titans have been able to do a good job of separating relationships with Jon Robinson, the way that it reflects on them with the objective perspective of this move needing to be made. I think it's honestly interesting. Taylor Lewan was on Up and Adams with Kay Adams, and he had made a comment of like, yeah, I think it was the right move. Now, he's somebody that's as close with Jon Robinson as anybody, but when you're able to separate yourself from that, look at it from, 3,000 feet, or I don't even know, what is that saying? I've been struggling for it all
30,000.
30,000? Is that what it is?
Plane, and you're looking over, right?
I thought it was 10,000 at first because of like skydiving for some reason, because that's like usually, I don't know, 30,000 feet. If you're able to look down on it from there and say, all right, this was objectively the right move, but how do we respond? How do we prove people wrong, to your point? And know that, hey, we're hosting a playoff game regardless. It takes 3 wins and we're in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, they're not going to get 3 wins.
No, but if you can tell yourself that, right? I mean,
right? I think that's the point. Ty says, look, I've always said that they don't have the talent. I still don't think that they have the talent. This hasn't changed. The talent has not changed, but the mindset has, though, Ty. And I think that's now you're playing with house money. Things are going to be different next year.
Yeah.
A new sheriff's coming in town, and you don't know who that sheriff is. But the owner has fired a person in a position of power that she just extended for 4 years. Now, that person is no longer going to be here, that has handpicked all these players. You're playing with house money. And, Sam, when I play with house money, I usually win, because I'm aggressive at nature, and then I become even more aggressive. And imagine that. Imagine somebody that's aggressive now becoming even more aggressive because they don't give a damn if they get punched in the mouth. Hey, a general manager's fired anyway. Owner doesn't believe we have it in us for this run. I mean, that's what I think the writing on the wall for me was with this firing. So that's what that's where I think that usually when you play with house money, you're eventually going to lose. You cannot play with house money and win a Super Bowl. That is, I think, ridiculous. You have to have some sort of substance. The Titans, though, they could make a run like they did in 2019. They could win a couple of games and lose in the AFC Championship game just because Mike Vrabel is just like, screw it. So I think that's where I kind of got my answer in the positive.
I think that's a really good point. I was talking to the assistant coaches yesterday, and guys like Keith Carter and Tony Dews, the offensive line and running back coach, was like, yeah, we need to play looser. Like we're playing so tight. Like and it's keeping us from just having fun, letting go and playing football. Well, you want to find a way to let go and play football. That is that house money that you just said, of like, all bets are off at this point. The writing is on the wall for a lot of these guys. The writing is on the wall for the direction of the franchise and ownership's perspective of the roster. So go out, have some fun, let it loose, see what you can do in the playoffs. And yeah, who knows? Maybe it's the little spark they need to just win another game or two and give the fan base what they deserve.
All right, we're going to get to the Jags game because, look, you got to start winning now. You've lost 2 straight. But Darren brings this up. Sam, I'm curious to see what you think about this. How does this affect Tannehill? Does he think he's gone this year? So, all right, so there's your question.
Yeah.
Hold tight. Think of your answer. And I'm going to tell, and I think it's a really good question. So way to go, Darren, who watches the show pretty consistently. First, I'm going to tell people about the Bone and Joint Institute. Don't fumble on your recovery. Visit the Bone and Joint Institute. They've got a state-of-the-art facility. You can see that at the bottom of your screen right there in Franklin, Tennessee. We've done broadcasts out there. We love the Bone and Joint Institute. I love them so much. Look, one of their doctors fixed my shoulder years ago, right? I mean, kind of saved my life. This thing's at 100%. It was when I tore my labrum, it was far from that. It was getting dislocated in the middle of the night, which I do not recommend That hurts. Waking up in pain like that, you don't have to do that. If you go to the Bone and Joint Institute down there in Franklin, don't fumble in recovery. That is the Bone and Joint Institute.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. BetMGM is offering you a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football when you use promo code ATOZ Sports on the BetMGM app. Go pick any bet this weekend that you like for the NFL. Use that promo code when you make your bet and your deposit, and that bet is risk-free. That means if it misses, that money goes back into the account in BetMGM. You get another chance to win money. Double the chances. That's double the fun, double the reason to do it. So go to BetMGM to place your bets this weekend. The king of sportsbooks.
I thought it was a double mint gum commercial right there. That was pretty good.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know double mint gum?
I've seen it.
There's another. Does Sam know this?
Yeah,
the double mint gum commercials were, back in my day. The double mint gum commercials were good. They were quality.
Yeah, you're gonna get the chat down another rabbit hole of just asking me offensive things that like I saw one earlier. It was like, has Sam ever been in an airplane? Like, I take offense to that question. That one's like,
so
that's
you have.
tough. I have been in an airplane. I've also jumped out of an airplane. I have been skydiving.
I have not. I've been in an airplane to jump out of, but nobody jumped.
You didn't want to go after you got up there?
No, nobody jumped. The plane landed full.
Is this like some riddle or like?
There is no riddle. And we have a whole nother discussion. My girlfriend at the time, now my fiance, last year got me skydiving for my birthday. So we, strap up, you go up there in the plane, and then all of a sudden the clouds came in, and there's a huge debate in the plane on whether we should jump.
Oh,
the door
no.
opened. Then the door closed. The door opened. Then the door closed. Then the door opened the last time. I got unstrapped and then restrapped back in. I was like, I don't like this. This is not good. And finally, by the grace of God, the pilot aborted the mission. Door closed. And then he had to figure out how to land with all those people because he usually lands with an empty plane. And I never went skydiving.
And you didn't go back?
No, I asked for a refund, and they weren't going to give me a refund. Then I asked for the manager, and I said, "You can't give me my damn money. I'm not going back in there. You don't have people arguing and unstrapping and restrapping you when you're about to jump out of a plane. Your ass must be crazy." And we compromised where I had to pay $30 for the plane ride, which I was like, "Look, I did go up in the plane."
Yeah.
But I think it was just kind of like hey, you shouldn't be doing this. So off topic, let's get back to Darren. Sam, how does this affect Tannehill? Does he think he's gone next year?
Does he think he's gone?
That's what Darren asked.
I don't know if Ryan Tannehill can think that way, or can afford to think that way, or can look that far into the future, because you don't know who the new general manager is going to be. At the end of the day, while John was the GM that traded for you, Mike was the guy that kind of rallied for you to be traded for, and the guy that started you and has ridden with you for the past few years. So as long as Mike Vrabel's here, you do have somebody in your camp. I don't know if he's thinking that way. I genuinely don't. I mean, it's got to be looming in the back of your mind, but I'm not sure how Jon Robinson affects Ryan Tannehill's situation, because Ryan Tannehill's situation, it is what it is. Like, his cap hit is what it is. His play on the field is what it is. I think how they assess him will probably come down to ownership and whether or not they win a playoff game. And so I don't think it has much to do with whether or not Jon Robinson is the general manager.
That's a good answer. John gives you a little bit of lunch money, says last year the Titans, you almost got to spend that lunch money, but then Jon Robinson ruined that, to be honest.
Yeah, he
did. Austin's taking you to lunch. He was going to pay for the meal. I would assume that. And so, John, we were going to put your money to work for Sam, and he says last year the Titans beat good teams, lost to bad ones. This year they're losing to good teams and beating bad ones. Who knows what might happen? Welcome back. Thank you very much, John. It's good to be back. I think here is what Amy Adams Strunk realized. What they were doing wasn't working in this NFL. Jon Robinson had an opportunity. He traded. Mariota didn't work. He traded for Ryan Tannehill. He drafted Derrick Henry. He constructed this team, but the team he constructed is not going to work. It's not going to, you're not going to be able to get to where you need to be. And I actually commend Amy Adams Strunk for realizing that. I'm not saying that Jon Robinson is a bad guy. I don't say he's a bad general manager. He did a ton for this franchise and digging it from the depths of the NFL. You know, they were in the Lions, Jags, Texans territory back in 2013, 2014. I know that. I lived it. I covered the team then. I was doing what you're doing, Sam, then. That was a tough job because, you know, at the end of the season, it now means nothing. Like you're the Texans. You're kind of the Jags this week. And so I like that Amy Adams Strunk at least looked in the mirror and said, what are we as a franchise and where are we going? I love our head coach. The general manager is not providing the head coach with the assets that he needs to compete to win Super Bowls. And then I think that the other thing, and I haven't said this week, and I've only been on the show for two days because of travel. But, Sam, I do think that the sprinkle of Ohio State and Mike Vrabel, I think it impacted probably this decision a little bit.
I said that was my immediate reaction. That was
Sam, if Ohio State wasn't in the college football playoff, what do we think now?
No, yeah, Zach, I literally said it as it happened. Austin and I go live after we whip around the vehicle from going to lunch. We sit down and I told Austin, like, look, this is as much of a commitment to Mike Vrabel by Amy Adams Strunk as it is an indictment of Jon Robinson and his roster construction, because I was starting to get this feeling that you were about to push Mike Vrabel away. Like, it can't be fun to coach an NFL team that has the lack of talent at so many essential positions in today's league that the Titans have, where he's just like, he's trying his best. But he was playing the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Westbrook-Ikine and CJ Board as two of his only three wide receiving options, and Dennis Daly as his left tackle, and Aaron Brewer as his left guard, and no real depth to make any switches or changes. That's on the roster. And it's got to be frustrating for Mike. So for Amy to recognize that this team, where they are, that in their current state is not going to the next level, and wanting to make a priority of empowering Mike Vrabel, giving him everything he needs to be successful in the future, and making a clear statement to Mike Vrabel that says, hey, Mike, I'm serious about this too. I want to win a Super Bowl just as much as you do, I think goes a long way towards keeping him happy here, keeping him here for a longer period of time, and establishing and rebuilding that trust.
And Jared says, Zach, you're supposed to be the voice of reason. I appreciate you thinking that I'm supposed to be. I'm just the voice that I have. I don't really think necessarily like that. But if they don't have Mike Vrabel, Sam, what do the Titans have? No, like Jared, and I want you to think about this, Jared. If Mike Vrabel leaves, I don't know, let's just say that. And I do think Amy Adams Strunk picked Mike Vrabel over Jon Robinson. I don't think Mike Vrabel had any influence or threats or anything like that. I don't think that happened. But I think Amy Adams Strunk, I would do the same thing. If Mike Vrabel left, you're doing the same thing with Jon Robinson, right? But Mike Vrabel just won Coach of the Year, right? And he has proven time and time again that he can get the most, squeeze all the juice out of the orange that's not a very good tasting orange. You know, it's not the orange that the roster of the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs have. It's not that roster. It's not. I think she chose Mike Vrabel. Sam, let's hypothetically, if ifs and buts were beers and nuts, we could have a party. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying.
I have.
If Mike Vrabel is removed, let's say he leaves, what are the Titans?
Identityless and futureless. I mean, that was another thing that I said on that show was he is your present. He's also your future.
Derrick Henry's going to wear out. His tie, like, it may not be this year, it may not be next year, but he's going to wear out. It's running backs in the NFL, and especially of how he's used. And so now you have I don't want to say waning Derrick Henry because he's still extremely talented and unbelievable, but not the same Derrick Henry in the future in the next 3 to 4 years. And you don't have Mike Vrabel. What do you have?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason Titans fans can be optimistic and excited for the future of this franchise is because you know who's leading it. And when you know Mike Vrabel is leading it and you have the level of trust in Mike Vrabel that the Titans fan base has, the city of Nashville has, that media has, you tend to think things are going to be positive and that you are going to continue to figure it out. And my answer would be nothing. Yeah, because I don't know what your identity as a franchise is or your direction is without Mike Vrabel. So I mean, we've seen the comments. I know somebody had said, like, you're supposed to be the voice of reason. I think that was mainly directed to you, insinuating that Ohio State could come calling. And we've seen comments here saying he's not leaving the NFL. This is the other thing Austin and I talked about. It's possible. And it as much as it is in the back of the heads of media or Titans fans, it's in the back of the head of Amy Adams Strunk. They can triple his salary like that. It is an alma mater. It is a very unique job opportunity that doesn't come around very often. And I'm not saying Mike Vrabel wants to do that or would do that, but it is a possibility you have to consider and you have to be proactive about preventing.
I agree. And I don't usually read comments with all caps. Mr. Jones, take your caps lock off. That's not cool. Nobody talks like that. But he left Ohio State so fast for the NFL as soon as he got an offer. And that's true. I do think that he enjoys the NFL. But I look at the Tennessee Titans, and look, these are just the teams that I look at. The Titans are very similar to my Ole Miss Rebels in the Lane Kiffin situation. Lane Kiffin stayed, but I don't expect Lane Kiffin to be there forever. It's just a small market team in the SEC. The Tennessee Titans are a small market team in the NFL. Ohio State is a blue blood in college football. And again, I'm not saying that Mike Vrabel is going to leave. I don't necessarily think that, but you have to think about what can the franchise, and I think Amy did this, what can the franchise do to help Mike Vrabel continue on and be the guy that's there for years and years to come? So, I think that was a good discussion.
Well, there's a couple things that she's already done, which you're already seeing, right? I mean, it is like firing John shows him that she's motivated to win a Super Bowl, that he will have control moving forward. I think a new stadium helps, that they're putting money where their mouth is in terms of investing in the team moving forward. Like, those are the steps that make somebody like Mike Vrabel go, I don't want to go to the Patriots. I don't really care to go to Ohio State. I'm happy here. I can win a Super Bowl here. I love it here. I love the city. I love Miss Amy. I love the opportunity that I have. That's a very unique opportunity too, if he has a lot of autonomy over like the roster.
And now he does.
Yeah.
Or at least we expect him to have more.
Like that is a unique opportunity. So, like, those are positive steps to ensuring that Mike Vrabel can be your Mike Tomlin and your Bill Belichick and the guy that's there for 20 years. Like, yeah.
All right, let's get to a quick update on Trevor Lawrence, or maybe lack thereof. But first, Sam, tell the fine folks about the official injury lawyer of the Tennessee Titans, Hughes and Coleman.
Yep, Hughes and Coleman, you said it, Zach. They are the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you have been injured in a car wreck, you need to call Hughes and Coleman and get a free case consultation. Their phone number is pretty much as easy as it gets. It's 800-800-4600. They have the resources to fight the companies to get you the money you deserve. A lot of people don't have the resources on their own. So don't fight the fight alone. Fight with Hughes and Coleman. Get every dollar you deserve when you're injured in a car wreck. They've recovered over $1 billion, billion with a B, for their clients in Tennessee and Kentucky over the last 30 years. So for your free case consultation, call 800-800-4600. $4,600 for Hughes and Coleman Lawyers, principal office in Nashville, Tennessee.
A to Z Sports. Don't forget BetMGM. They're hooking you up with a great deal. ATOZ Sports is the promo code, the king of sports books. Use that promo code, get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 with BetMGM. Look, I've downloaded BetMGM. I'm back in Tennessee. I'm gonna start putting some wagers here on football this weekend. As you're starting to get into Saturday NFL games, which is always good. That's BetMGM. Download the app today. All right, quick question to everybody, including you. Trevor Lawrence not practicing with a toe injury, a big deal, small deal, or no deal this week as they face the Tennessee Titans. Injury report, you can read that. Let's see, down. First name, Jacksonville Jaguars. Toe, Wednesday, did not practice. Thursday, did not practice. And you're probably sitting there saying, who the hell is number 3 for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Well, that is CJ Beathard. And look, he has had, he's had a career in the NFL. Sam, do you know where CJ Beathard went to college?
Iowa.
The Hawkeyes right there. CJ Beathard also went to my high school, Battleground Academy, Nashville.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Wildcats forever. So go BGA right there. Look, he has some experience. He has won NFL games. I think most notably when Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt, he came in there. It was like the CJ Beathard time. And then that was when like Nick Mullins was getting an opportunity.
Yeah.
Beathard got hurt. So that whole thing. But now, a backup quarterback, big deal, small deal, or no deal. I'll let you go to the comments and hear and read off what some fine folks are saying. Big deal, small deal, or no deal that Trevor Lawrence has not practiced this week.
Lou Man is no deal. Steven is no deal. Let's see what else we got here. He'll play. It's all a smokescreen from Ken, so I guess no deal would be his answer. Jason Martinez says no deal. The Jags want to win this game. Jordan says big deal. The Titans have a ton of injuries on defense and especially in the secondary. Big deal if he's out from Rooney. Big deal from Big Ten Jeff saying I have zero clue who the heck the backup is. Now you know. Now you know, Jeff. CJ Beathard is ready to go. I think while we're on the subject of Jags backup quarterbacks or former Jags backup quarterbacks, I still think Gardner Minshew should be a starter somewhere. We got to see him a little bit last Sunday for the.
I don't know when Baker Mayfield learns a playbook in 2.5 hours.
That was nice. That was impressive. Let's see what else we got down here. No deal. We need to worry about us from Denise.
So what's your answer here, Sam?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. I think it is a big deal that the fact that your quarterback hasn't played, and I mean that injury when he went down on Sunday, I thought it was a much more severe situation than a toe. And it seemed earlier in this week like you were going to find a way to make him play, but now he's not practicing. But as you last 4 games for Trevor Lawrence, Zach, I put this together right before while we were getting ready for the show here. 994 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, 112 rushing yards, 72% completion percentage in the last 4 games. That's about 250 yards a pop with 7 touchdowns, no picks. He's running. He's efficient. He's kind of doing it all. Like when he's been out there, he has started to turn this corner in year 2. It is a big deal to not have him. I think it will go a long way towards securing a Titans win. And we can't overlook this game, even with Trevor Lawrence. I think this is a tough team with Trevor Lawrence in there. Probably a pretty winnable one if it's CJ Beathard.
I think this is a small deal. It's not a big deal to me because the Jags are bad. They're inconsistent. They're up and down. I thought that the Jags were going to be better this season. I thought they were going to kind of develop a little bit more. And I think Trevor Lawrence has gotten better. He's improved from his rookie year and Urban Meyer and all that other stuff. But I think this is a small deal. I'm not going to give away my prediction before the pregame show this weekend, but the Titans, I like the Titans. I enjoy their roster, especially in this matchup that they're going to.
Okay.
So I think it's a small deal because of maybe a little mystery, but I don't think it's a no deal because Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's a number one pick. We've seen him. I mean, he beat the Ravens in dramatic fashion a couple of weeks ago and got pounced by the Lions. And the Lions are playing good football. I mean, quick NFL side take. The Lions being favored over the Vikings is very interesting.
I don't understand Vegas, man. Like, this is like the part where I see something like that. I'm like, no, you guys know something. Like, you want me to take the Vikings, don't you? I don't know. Every time I see something like that, where I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I usually bet on what doesn't make sense. So go to BetMGM. I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
There you go. Well, I think, look, we got a lot to get to. This is Friday. We've got our pregame, halftime, and postgame show. Make sure that you're locked in. Live notifications are on. You subscribe to our YouTube channel. You like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. Now, speaking of good stuff, we got Ain't That Good News. And Ain't That Good News we're going to get to, and I'll put this in the comments. What is your good news for the week? So comment in the comment section. It's Friday. We do this every single Friday. What is your good news for the weekend or for the week? Something that's happened to you, something, positive. Well, let's end on a positive note. There's been a lot of firing, talk this week. But what is your good news? But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Wilson County Hyundai. Wilson County Hyundai is where you find your perfect make and model right there at Wilson County Hyundai. The Palisade, full-size SUV, the Sonata, the Elantra. I mean, they have it all, and they're hooking you up with a great deal if you go quick trip down I-40, exit 236. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. We just kind of talked about it. If you're with Zach and you're liking the Titans this weekend against Jacksonville, if you're with me and you're just betting on the line that doesn't make sense with the Vikings and Lions, just do it on BetMGM and use the promo code ATOZ Sports because your bet on pro football can be risk-free up to $1,000. So make sure it's on BetMGM. Make sure you're plugging in that promo code. It's ATOZ Sports on the BetMGM app.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years or older, Tennessee only, new customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as a non-withdrawable free bet or site credit. Free bets expire in 7 days. For insurance, for problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. Let's get to it. Ain't that good news? Good news in the chat. We need some good news. Who's got some good news? We need some good news. Good news France plays tomorrow from Denise. We're talking about the World Cup. Did you see the bettor that has all of those future bets on champions like the Golden State Warrior? I mean, he's gotten a ton. The last one is France to win the World Cup.
There you go, Denise. There you go.
Big Ten Jeff, of course, not surprised. Ohio State made the playoffs. Bama tears are amazing. Valentino just says, good news. Good news is good news. Jake says, good news. He has no news to report. No news is good news sometimes. John says, good news for me. Vikings collapse to lose to the Lions. Take it to the bank. Talking about that. Scary Harry found a mountain bike, so that's good news for Scary Harry. Going to SoFi next weekend for the game. Can't wait for Jason Martinez. So there's good news there. Zach says, good news. This is the first weekend. New Miller's Ale House in Chattanooga has been open.
I love Miller's Ale House, man. I love some Miller's Ale House.
There you go. So Zach Goodman has shared good news with Sam.
Yeah, that's my spot right there. I like that one a lot. The Zinger platter, yeah.
Brent says, good news. Jalen Hyatt, who's now sponsored by Hyatt, won the Biletnikoff Award last night for best wide receiver in college football, and he was. I think that was deserving. Hollywood Wolf has his Christmas shopping done. That's good news right there. Abby, happy birthday, Billy, to your daughter. 28th birthday to Abby. So Billy Jones, there's a happy birthday to your daughter. Good news, good news, good news. Let's see. Eric says, good news, back on the state side after spending 2 years on Guam. Now I can watch NFL games on regular time, not 3 a.m. So there's good news right there. What is your good news, Sam?
Yeah, my good news got taken by the chat. My Christmas shopping is done for the most part. But I've been feeling pretty confident this year in my Christmas shopping. And now Austin and I talked about it, I believe it was last week, where I just am traditionally a very last minute shopper. I always go in person. I like being in the store. I will drive wherever it takes to go shop in person rather than ordering online. And I usually shop at the very last minute. The conversation motivated me a little bit, and I tried to be proactive this year. So I have done most of my Christmas shopping. I think I have one last thing to go get, but it's nice having it taken care of at this point, knowing that things are going to be shipped in time, that they'll make it for Christmas. Big weight off my shoulders. That's my good news. I'm very proud of myself today for completing my Christmas shopping by December 9th.
That is impressive. I've actually have a new window open that has all the links that I need to purchase. So today's like purchase day. Here's a credit card. Go. Let's start getting them in. So that is good news, because there's nothing worse than scrambling, right? So I'm gonna get organized out, start chopping off all of the Christmas gifts. A couple of good news that I want to mention before mine, because these are impactful. Wesley says his son told him Wednesday that he's going to be a grandfather. So that is excellent news, Wesley. Yeah. Congratulations to you. And Luke, who I know, listens to the show because I recognize the name, his grandfather's cancer report came back negative. So that is
awesome. Good news.
Very, very good news right there. So here's my good news. My good news, start to finish. My good news is that today is Friday. I have been in Dallas for half of the week, checking on A to Z Sports Dallas and doing a lot of sales meetings and checking in our market there, which is a lot of work. But it's gratifying as that market has grown tremendously since we launched a year and a half ago. But my other good news comes with, while that was going on, you got to multitask in this business. As we grow A to Z Sports. And we've got some big news on the horizon today regarding something that A to Z Sports and myself and our social media growth manager, Jake Evans, and some others have put in some time. So check today. We're going to be announcing something very, very cool for Friday, moving forward towards the rest of the season as we continue to maneuver through this digital media world. So overall good news that this week is in the books because it's been busy, but excited for the weekend. Good news all around. And man, we're getting into December, which means you got bowl season, you've got meaningful football season, and then obviously holiday season as you get into Christmas and New Year's. So, hey, great job today, Sam. We enjoyed the conversation, and for the chat, shout out to you guys. You did absolutely phenomenal today. We will see you pregame show on Sunday. Titans, Jags, get ready. Adios.